Hey, welcome back to Programming with Paul. Today we are going to talk Angular forms, reactive forms in particular. So Angular's got two different styles of forms that you can create. One is called template-driven or model-driven forms. With these forms, Angular kind of takes care of the form handling, the form validations for you. It's done in a very more declarative nature, whereas reactive forms, which is what we're going to do today, you have more fine-grained control over how the form is validated, when the form is validated. But with that comes you have to code it all yourself a little bit more. So let's go ahead and let's get into seeing what a reactive form looks like using Angular. Here we go. All right. So I have a stack blitz here. Let me go ahead and make my editor a little bigger. Okay, there we go. Hopefully everybody can see that. So I'm going to just expand this out a little bit just to make the form look better. Okay, so as you can see, this is just a simple form. It's got a name, an email, an address, city, state, zip, phone, and interest. And interest is going to be a data list with just a list of options of what you can pick. Here is the markup for it. Like I said, just a super simple form with some form controls. What we're going to do is we're going to have three validations on this form. One, we want to make sure that a user enters their name, so it is going to be a required field. Second, we're going to make sure that an email input has at least a @ symbol and a dot. So we're not going to use regular expressions just because I don't want to have to look up regular expressions. I'm not very good at them. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to check the value for whether or not there's an @ symbol and whether or not there's a period in the value of the control. Next thing, the last validation we're going to do is it's going to be a cross-form validation where if the user enters their state as NC, North Carolina, then their interest has to be basketball because that's the only sport that us North Carolina people like to play or have any interest in is basketball. Everything else does not matter to us. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get started with coding this form up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check our app module, make sure that we have reactive forms here, which we do. There's our reactive forms module. Forms module is what you would need to import if you were using template-driven forms, and reactive forms is what you use for reactive forms. So next, let's go ahead and let's create our form group. So since we're using Angular 15, we can do our constructor, our dependency injection like this. We can say this is going to be our form builder, and it's going to equal inject, and then form builder. And then we are going to create our form by doing sign up form equals this dot fb dot group to create our form group. And now we're going to do our form controls inside of it. One's going to be name. It's going to be instantiated with a value of null. And we're going to say this has a validator. We're going to use one of Angular's built-in validators, which is required. Validator dot required. Okay. It's not finding it. Maybe it's validators. It is validators. Okay. Validators dot required. Okay, then we're going to have email, which for now we're not going to include a validator in it. And then we're going to do address, city, state, Okay, so just a couple quick things. One is this first value inside of this array is what you want the form control, the value instantiated when you create this form control. So right now we don't want any values, so we're just setting null. The second piece here is if you want to specify a validator, then it can be the second part of this array. So let us then take these form controls from this form control group and attach them to our HTML form elements. So if we go here, and first thing we'll do is we're going to specify our form group up here, and we called it sign up form, like this. And now here are all of our different forms. So we're going to go ahead and what you do is you do a form control name, and then it's going to equal the control name in the group that we created, right? So we have name, email, address, city, state, zip, phone, and interest. So we'll have to take our HTML controls and assign form controls names for those that are part of our sign up form. So let me go ahead and do that now. Oops. Email this. There we go. Last one is this guy here, form control name equals INTRESTS. Okay, so now we have all of our form controls associated with our HTML controls. Next, we're going to go ahead and set our validators. So this one already came with validator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show an error message if the user does not have a value for the name. But what I also want to do is I don't want to show that error right away unless the user's actually touched this field. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we are going to have here a span, and it's going to have a class of error, and we're going to say name is required. And we are only going to show this if sign up form dot get. So this is how we get our form control. So sign up form dot get name dot errors. So if it's got any errors, then we'll go ahead and show that. But then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and also specify that that the actual control has been touched. So sign up form dot get name dot touched. Okay, so now here you see it no longer shows that error right away, but if I go in there and then move away, you'll see now it's got an error. Then if I add something, it'll go ahead and remove the error. There we go. All right, cool. So that works. One thing I also want to show you is there's several states for a form control. One is touch, which we looked at. You can also use dirty. So if we change this to dirty, it's going to go ahead and rebuild the form, And now I can do this and do this. Nothing, you can see it doesn't show yet, but once I start typing and then remove it, now that form control is dirty. So I'm going to go back to touch because I like that a little better. And there we go. Okay. So the next thing that we said we wanted to do is we wanted to create a validator here that to make sure that the input has at least an @ symbol and a period. So the way to do that is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new folder. This folder is going to be called validators, and I'm going to add an email validator to this folder. So this will be our email.validator.ts. And then here we're going to use a closure. So we're going to say export const. This is going to be email validator equals, we're going to give it an error message, which is a string. We're going to return from here a validator function. And we are going to go ahead and say control, form control, which is of type abstract control. So all forms in Angular are abstract controls. All form controls are a type of abstract control. Do the fat arrow, and then here is where we're going to go ahead and write our logic for what we want. So we want to say if form control dot value dot includes at. So if here we're going to say falsy. So if it does not include an at, or form control dot value dot includes period. So if either of those things are true, then we're going to return bad email, and then we're going to set it to our error message. Okay? Otherwise, we're just going to return null. All right. So here we get a squiggly because I do not think we've imported it yet. So we've gone ahead and imported it. And you can see here, it's going to move this a little bit just so it looks a little prettier. Okay, so you can see here, we have our validator function, which takes in an error message. Then this is Angular saying if you specify it in the form group, then it's going to go ahead and inject in our form control. And then we're checking to make sure that the value of that form control has both an @ symbol and a period. If not, it's going to return an error, bad email with the message that we passed in. So let's hook that up to our component. So here we have email. All we have to do here is we can say email validator, and then we're going to specify an error message of invalid email. We'll say invalid email format. Okay. Now let's go ahead and add our error message underneath it. So here, the way we're going to do it is we're going to do span. We're going to do class equals error, because that's what makes it red. And we're going to do here our ngIf equals, then span ngIf equals sign up form dot get email dot has error, and then with this error we can specify the exact one that we're giving, which was bad email, because remember when we go to our validator, if it doesn't pass that, then we're passing this key as part of the object back. So then here we're saying if it has that bad email error, then what we're going to do, and let's do an and, sign up form dot get email dot touched, right? So that's the same thing we did before. What we'll do here is we're gonna go ahead and say sign up form dot gets email dot gets error bad email. So what this does is it says whatever this bad email error was that we've already checked that we have that error, then interpolate that and put that as the text in the span. And remember what we did is we're passing that error message in from whenever we create that validator. So let's go ahead and sign up. There we go. So let's go ahead and see how this works. So here, as we're typing, we go, oops, invalid format. Now if we have an at, it's still invalid, but now it's now valid. Take it away, at, dot, there we go. So that validator works. Let's go ahead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do some styling around this form control that says if it's got an error, let's go ahead and let's put some a style around it to make the border red for all the controls that we're validating. So what we can do is let's go ahead and inside of this input we can do ng class, and then the way we do it is it's an object. We specify the string, which is error control, because if we look here, we have a class called error control. And then we're going to apply that class if sign up form.get email dot errors, right? So if it's got errors, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to assign that class. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, and I'm going to actually do the same thing here, but instead of email, I'm going to specify name. Okay, so both of these now have errors. Oops, I put it around the span. It does not go around the span. It's going to go around the input. Okay, and here we'll go ahead, so it doesn't yell at us right away, we'll do that same and sign up form dot get name dot touched, and then the same thing here. Just gonna go ahead and copy this, and here we're gonna go ahead and do this guy. Okay, there we go. What did I do here? Oops. Control.get errors here, and there we go. What did I do here? Sign up form.get.errors and sign up form. Oh, here we go. I put this in the wrong place. .errors and touched. There we go. All right. So now, if we do this, we get that nice little red outline around the border of the input. Cool. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to use cross-field validation, where we say if the state is North Carolina, then the only true interest that this person can have is basketball if they live in North Carolina. And I'm going to put that form control on the interest, the interest, the interest control. So to do, actually, I'm going to put it on the entire form group itself. So the way I'm going to do that is under validators, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a new file. This is going to be, I'm just going to call it basketball only. Basketball dash only dot validator dot ts. And here we're going to do export const basketball only validator equals not going to pass it. Let's pass in an error message just so we can specify what that is. And then we're going to do, it's going to return a validator function. And then we are going to do a fat arrow return. This is going to be, what we're going to do is we're going to pass in our form group now. So form group for, what we'll do is this will be still an abstract control. And then what we can do is we can do const state value equals form group as form group. So we can cast it as a form group because a form group is actually a type of abstract control. Dot get, and then this we're gonna say state dot value, and then we're gonna say const interest equals form group as form group dot get. This is interests dot value. And then this I'm just going to put interest value. And then what we're going to say is we're going to say if state value equals NC and interest value does not equal basketball, then we're going to return bad interest, and then we're going to specify the error message. Otherwise, we're just going to return null. Okay, so here, let's go ahead and import this. So we're good here. And the way we would add that to our whole form group is now we have the sign up form. I'm going to go ahead and implement let's on init. And here we can do ng on init void. And then we're going to go ahead and just say this dot sign up form dot add validators, and then we can just specify just that one validator, which is going to go ahead and be the basketball only validator. And then it's going to say I'll do North Carolina. Maybe we'll spell it. That looks like that's how it's spelled. North Carolinians only like basketball. There we go. All right. Now let's go ahead and let's put our errors here. So this is options data list. I'm gonna go ahead and just put it here. Span and span. This is going to have a class of error. It's going to be an ng if sign up form dot get, no, sign up form dot has error, right? Because this is on the form group itself. If it has an error, and that error is bad interest, and nope, we can just leave it as that. And then we're going to go ahead and do sign up form dot get error bad interest. There we go. And then here I just wanted to put that same class here. So copy this guy, go to our input, and then here instead of email it'll be interests, and then here it'll be interests. Okay. So let's see what that looks like. So here I'm going to put NC as our state, and I'm going to go ahead and, oops, I did something with my interests. What did I do here? I think this needs to go away. Oh, duh. Didn't have this. There we go. That should be better. Okay, so here we'll do NC. Let's do here, class is error. Okay, so NC, let's do, we do want to add this because if you can see if we put NC here, it yells at us right away. So we don't want that to happen. So let's go ahead and change this to ng if has error, and and sign up form dot get interests dots touched. Okay, so here if I put NC, you can see nothing yet. If I pick baseball, oops. If I put basketball, good to go. If I put golf, no good. There we go. So it looks like it's working. So that's about it. That's kind of a high level view of reactive forms. You can tell that it's got lots and lots of functionality to it, and a lot of you can have a lot of really fine-grained control over how you want to do your form validation. Once again, I'm going to put the link on this Stack Blitz into the links below in this YouTube. And if you like it, give me a subscribe and like. And I will see everybody next time. Thanks.